Who's the more foolish? The fool or the fool that follows him?
The fool who doesn't wear a helmet.
What?
I don't know.
It's a Star Wars quote.
Right. I thought there was a third option there.
Obi-Wan from A New Hope.
Yes.
You know.
I did catch it. I think there should be a third option there because nobody, like, there's a lot of people in Star Wars that everyone else is wearing helmets, but they don't, and it just seems foolish.
Okay, well, what about, I'll hit you with another one. What about the ability to speak does not make you intelligent?
Yeah. He's definitely not intelligent.
No. Hello and welcome to the Movie Men Podcast.
The B-Team.
B-Team. That's Carl.
This is Brady.
Oh, my God. And we're here to talk about The Bad Batch. Something that, listen, Bad Batch Season 2, specifically. Something that's been...
I didn't think... I'm going to jump in here real quick. Sorry.
Yeah, do it. Yeah.
I didn't think that this is something that we'd end up on our list.
Why?
Of things to review. I don't know. It just... Because, like, I've seen all the Clone Wars, and I watched Bad Batch when it came out, and
I've seen all the Clone Wars
recent
as well.
Watch Rebels. But you had only recently started watching Clone Wars.
I watched Clone Wars in anticipation for Bad Batch Season 2.
Right. Did you watch Bad Batch when it came out?
No, I was late to the game on that as well, but I did watch it.
Yeah, so and I know
Star
you didn't
Wars, man.
Yeah, I know it's Star Wars, but it's never been something that really hit me as something that you are really eager to jump on or eager to check out.
I mean, Mando Season 3 is in our calendar as well.
Yeah, but I guess I don't know. I guess
we did Andor.
It's an animated Star Wars. I don't know. It just, for whatever reason, it didn't.
We did Tales of the Jedi.
Compared to Andor and compared to Mando, this is technically a kids show.
Yeah, well, so is the Movie Men Podcast.
I mean, as you've mentioned before in a previous episode, we are just man-childs.
Mm-hmm.
And
you're just proving my point.
We're trapped in these growing, aging bodies, but we don't want to grow up.
Yeah,
but
we're Peter Panning it.
It never occurred to me that this would be something so that we would do. So when it ended up on the calendar, I was like, oh, okay. I guess Brady's checking those shows out.
Well, what's your point? You want to do this or not?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm ready. I'm eager.
So it's something that this has been a long time coming for me, more than it's been for you, because as you alluded to, I had to watch the Clone Wars. I had to watch 7 seasons of a predecessor show, and I feel it important. I want to just spend 5 minutes here, maybe not even, kind of giving my report of my watching of the Clone Wars.
When did you finished it? Very recently, right?
4 or 5 days ago.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I'm eager to hear your final your school report on the Clone Wars, the animated series.
All right. Well, I don't have them listed here. I do believe that earlier on in the series, like maybe only season 1, there are at least 1 or 2 moments that I believe contradict canon.
Okay.
Having said that, so one of them, and you and I already kind of off mic debated one of them. There are a lot of times, including one time where together Anakin and Obi-Wan face off against Count Dooku in this series.
Right.
And in the beginning of Revenge of the Sith, when they go to fight Dooku, Obi-Wan looks at Anakin and says, "This time, we'll do it together. And Anakin says, I was just about to say that, because he's a lying dick. And that's it's clearly a reference.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely referencing their last battle in episode 2.
Where Anakin loses an arm and so on and so forth. And so the fact that not only do they both separately have several encounters with Dooku leading, like they end up in a jail cell together with him. Not only do they separately fight him a couple of times, they do at least once together encounter him in a fight. So that's a bit of a stretching of canon. Was there, because I mean, Revenge of the Sith came out before Clone Wars, so really what they were trying to do was retcon canon a little bit, because when Revenge of the Sith came out, that's clearly what they're referencing. They're clearly referencing the end of Attack of the Clones. And I think Clone Wars tried to retcon it and did it in a semi-successful way, but not as successful a way as I would have liked. Quickly to that point, it would be hard to do a long-run animated series where your two main protagonists never run into the main and one of the main antagonists. Oh, absolutely. I agree 100%. It had to be done. It's just was a little sloppy. It still at the end of the day, it still contradicted canon. The other that I believe contradicts canon is in Revenge of the Sith, when Obi-Wan fights General Grievous in their lightsaber battle, and General Grievous extends his other 2 arms and has now 4 lightsabers and starts like spinning them and walking towards him. The look on Obi-Wan's face is clearly one of, oh shit, I didn't expect that. I did not know, like I wasn't prepared for that kind of a fight. He has this like just shocked look on his face. Not only do they fight Grievous with 4 lightsabers several times in the Clone Wars, but there's a couple of times that Grievous even clearly this having 2 spin and hit the ground while he marches towards someone. That's one of his go-to moves, because he does it more than once. And so that was the other moment that I was like, you should not be shocked here when this happens. This should not be
maybe
a surprising
it's less
moment to you at
shock and more, oh crap, I hate having to deal with this.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, that's a retcon. Is at the end of the day, it's a retcon. And it's one that for me didn't pan out as well as I'd like it. But so having said that, having gotten those negatives out of the way, earlier on in the series, there are a couple of, so the way Clone Wars is sort of broken up is every so often you'll have sort of a standalone episode that is just kind of start and finish its own little thing. More often than not, it's 2, 3, maybe 4, maybe once 5 episode long story arcs, right? They kind of previously on, and then like all this stuff happened, and you're like, oh, okay, we're picking up where this left off.
A lot of times they're like war arcs. They take place over a specific war on a specific planet.
It's a specific planet, or some villagers are missing, and that turns into this, and so on and so forth. Some of them are just flat out boring. Some of them felt like sort of episode fillers and like, needing to meet the series quota, and some of them I had no interest in. Some of them I enjoyed quite a bit, specifically ones that delved deeper into some Star Wars lore, like ones that, these are in no particular order, and there's maybe ones that I enjoyed more, but things that are sticking out to me right now are the younglings going and collecting their kyber crystals.
Oh, yeah. That's a good
I
one.
was like, oh my gosh, like this is deeper Star Wars lore. This is really cool. So stuff like that was really great. Stuff like, I mean, obviously the seventh season I'll get into, because that was, seventh season was not what I anticipated it being. but I still really enjoyed it. So all in all, I really enjoyed the series. Sometimes, depending on if I stopped partway through a story arc that I wasn't interested in, then it took me a little bit of like hyping myself up to be like, okay, no, I got to keep going. But others, I was like itching and couldn't wait to find out like, that was a really annoying spot to have to quit because I need to know what happens next. One other canon break, but I'll talk about that in a sec. No, I'll talk about it now. The other canon break is the fact that Yoda in Empire Strikes Back, there's no, like, R2-D2's, people are like, oh, maybe R2-D2 doesn't remember. No, that's not the way a droid works. A droid's got a memory bank. It just accesses that information, and then it's there like it happened yesterday. He's a computer. And so, assuming his memory hasn't been wiped, which we know C-3PO's was wiped, but R2-D2's, up until this point in canon, we've had no memory wipes between Phantom Menace and...
He remembers everything.
Right. And so... the one thing that I was like, this is total bullshit. It's okay for this to happen to Yoda, but the fact that R2-D2 is a part of this asks some really big questions. I thought it was total bullshit that both R2-D2 and Yoda end up on Dagobah together. That Yoda discovering Dagobah is an adventure that he goes on with R2-D2. And then in Empire Strikes Back, when they show up on Dagobah, R2's just as like, I don't know what this place is. There's already, like, Star Wars is already riddled with, why didn't this character recognize that character? Why did Obi-Wan play stupid when he saw R2-D2? Why didn't R2-D2 say, yeah, I know this guy. I was Anakin's droid. Hello. But I thought specifically this one was just a little like, what benefit was there when Luke says to R2, we're going to the Dagobah system to look for this Jedi Master named Yoda. What motivation does R2 have in that moment to keep Luke in the dark? Zero. There's no reason for him not to say, oh yeah, actually, I know Yoda, and I went to... Yeah, I've been there. Because up until this point, you can kind of go like, yeah, Yoda and R2-D2 were around at the same time throughout the prequels and the Clone Wars and stuff, but like, they never had adventures together. So,
but R2's always had... Yeah, you already alluded to like with R2 and Obi-Wan meeting in the desert with Luke, like R2's always created some weird plot holes like that.
Yeah.
So I don't think, yeah. I'm
just
playing devil's advocate a bit here, but like, I don't think that does any irreparable damage.
It didn't do any irreparable damage, but it was
a bit
still,
of a plot hole. I'll give you that.
It was another plot hole that could have been avoided.
I don't think it's an unnecessary, like, I don't think them doing it is bad. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's unnecessary. I think it's, I would lean on like the rule of cool. Oh, cool. This is how Yoda found out about Dagobah. That's cool.
And I thought that was cool. I also thought, though, that the only reason why Yoda went on that adventure with R2 instead of a different astromech was to include R2 in the story. And he didn't need to be. And so that rubbed me.
I'll give you that. I have two questions for you.
Sure.
So for me, I think many people, the big storylines for the entire Clone Wars series are really the story of Ahsoka and the clones themselves, because really they're the only ones with real character development. Like, honestly, Luke and Obi-Wan and Yoda, for the most part, they are at the beginning who they are at the end when it comes to the Clone Wars series. There's not a whole lot of growth. You see a bit from Anakin from becoming just a Jedi Knight to being like the master of a Padawan and stuff like that. But there's not a whole lot of growth. It really comes down to Ahsoka and the clones themselves developing personalities and friendships and relationships. and the story revolving, especially in the later seasons, the story revolving around the clones and their chips. What were your thoughts on those two things?
I loved the explanation. I loved the deep dive into, like, I was less interested in stories that you were just creating and showing to me and didn't have any tie-in to the rest of the Star Wars universe. So I liked things that gave me deeper explanation. And the chips were one of those things, right? You were really breaking down, like, you know, there's a whole story arc where a clone's chip malfunctions and he essentially executes Order 66 ahead of time, right?
Yeah, preemptively.
And that's kind of like the beginning of us really delving into and talking about these chips. And so I found that really fascinating. I found the clones were more interesting than I anticipated them being. And it really allotted, like, if you just watch the movies, aside from Obi-Wan addressing Cody at one point on the Utapau battle, there's no personalization to any of the clones. You don't really care about them in any way. Like, they're just kind of there. They're there, and they have about as much autonomy as the stormtroopers do. You're like, oh, okay, these are just early stormtroopers fighting for the other side with slightly different
background
helmets.
Characters.
Yeah. And so this, I think, watching their story arc now, it'll certainly make it cooler in Revenge of the Sith when Cody shows up. But it will also just, like, I think when I watch Order 66 happen in Revenge of the Sith now, it will carry a lot more weight.
Mm-hmm.
It'll just be this, like, because now I've seen the relationship between the Jedi and the clones, right? And how it was, Order 66 wasn't just super inconvenient and really unfortunate. It was heart-wrenching. It was a betrayal. It was, you know, like it was really upsetting. And so that I really liked. As far as Ahsoka goes, you said a couple of times to me that, like, when the series starts, she's just kind of annoying but you know, she changes and grows to be a really important part, and you end up liking her. I definitely saw the growth, and I definitely, like, when the series ended, I was like, ooh, like, yeah, I'm genuinely excited for the Ahsoka series. And now I want to watch Rebels because I want to see her show up. Like, I want to see her story kind of sprinkle throughout other things. And now I need to rewatch Mandalorian because I need to, like, it's just going to carry so much more weight.
More appreciation.
But to be honest, I never really found, like, in the beginning, she's impulsive and she's a pain in the ass and whatever, but that never annoyed me. Like, I always just felt like, oh, this is, you know, she's a kid. Like, this is the appropriate character for her, that, you know. So I was never annoyed by her. I was kind of intrigued by Snips and her interactions with Anakin and sort of how they were eerily similar in their impulsiveness and which she throws back at him a couple of times, right? He'd be like, Anakin had a lot of, like, do as I say, not as I do moments. And Ahsoka would always throw that back at him. So no, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed all of that. There were some stories that I knew happened that I was really looking forward to and ultimately fell flat for me. One of that was I just did not care about the Darth Maul stuff. Like, up until he showed up, I was, like, waiting for him because I knew he was coming and all of this stuff. And then I ultimately just was like, it felt like the show grasping at straws and wanting to throw in a familiar face. Like, it just felt like fan service that went way too far and became far too big a part of the show. And so that didn't really do it for me, unfortunately. But then season 7, like, I was so excited for season 7. Could not wait, because season 7 has gotten a lot of talk from people, right? It's like, it's the big season. Yep. It's the Order 66 season. And it really wasn't. Like, it was more so, like, season 7, for those who don't know, is the only season that was made by Disney and was made sort of to tie up some loose ends so that their Bad Batch show, so that they could, like, make a spin-off show, essentially, right? And it kind of felt like that. Like, it kind of felt just like, you know, okay, we don't, like, we want to be able to continue to use Ahsoka, so we need to explain why she's still around.
Well, yeah, it tied up a lot of loose ends.
Yeah, and
right, like it like, tied up like darks, like, because Darth Vader's got the Darksaber and he's on Mandalorian. How do we, you know, there's a lot of lore stuff that left loose ends because, you know, is Star Wars is kind of weird the way they've made their films, because you had the original trilogy and then you jump back in time to the prequels, but the prequels have to line up so that they don't interfere with the storytelling of the original trilogy, and then the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy ends, and now you start making a TV show. And as you alluded to earlier, you know, like, will our protagonist and our antagonist have to meet in this long-running series? So how do we do that without creating more plot holes?
Which all in all, I would say Star Wars,
you end up having a lot of empty loose ends because you keep jumping around with when you decide to start new projects at different points in time in the timeline. So you end up with all these, plot holes, like, well, with Darth Maul and Ahsoka and the Bad Batch. Now you introduce them because you want to make a new series. And
I don't think the prequel trilogy gets enough credit for the fact that, like, if you watch the prequel trilogy and then you watch the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy makes a lot of things said in the original trilogy seem like the prequel trilogy was always the plan. Like, it's the fact that when Leia's sending her message through R2 to Obi-Wan, she addresses him as General Kenobi. And, you know, like, even, you know, in the first act of the first film, they reference the Clone Wars, right? You served my father in the Clone Wars. And like, there's just so much there that, like, is just so well tied together. George Lucas did an incredible job with his continuity in so many ways. And so, but yeah, so it's season 7, season 7 was basically, we had 2 jobs: explain what happened to Ahsoka, because we want to continue to use Ahsoka, and introduce and try to get people caring about Unit 99, the Bad Batch, so that we can do this Bad Batch show. That to me was kind of all it was. However, I still really enjoyed it. I enjoyed, you know, I wasn't like the whole Trace and what's her face. Those aren't characters that really mattered to me all that much. So even when they showed up in Bad Batch season 1, I was like, okay, like, you know, whatever. Yeah, you had a spice run go bad and so on and so forth. But like,
they had to flesh the story out to get it started. Yeah,
as much as I enjoy Ahsoka as a character, I also thought that it was like her ending of the season, end of season 6 was also just like, that was an ending that explained everything. It was like, okay, she left the Jedi Order. That's why we never saw or heard of her ever again.
I talked a lot about during Andor a number of times some of the cool sequences that the last season did that are essentially mirror shots from episode 3. Those are really, you got to admit, those are really cool.
Yeah, the last 4 episodes of season 7 are entirely different. Like, they're Clone Wars Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, and Part 4. And they don't play the music the same way. They don't do this, like, they're a standout, and that is, okay, the Clone Wars side of Order 66. And that to me was like maybe the highlight of the show. Like, I was riveted. So anyways, all in all, I enjoyed the show. Had a couple issues with it, but I'm super glad I watched it. It's inspired me to go and watch some of the other Star Wars animated stuff that I haven't watched.
You'll get a lot of the same vibes from Rebels, I think. hit and miss episodes, but the strong story beats are really strong.
Right. As for Bad Batch season 1, we have to touch on that very quickly. The Bad Batch is not a group of characters that I intrinsically care about. They're not my favorite group of characters, and so
I would be right along there with you.
So watching, like, I just don't, like Wrecker, okay, like he's this stereotype of character, and Tech, okay, he's this stereotype of character, and Hunter is this stereotype of character.
They're all very strong stereotypical characters, like that you think of from a 90s action film.
Exactly. So what is it about Bad Batch season 1 that I still thoroughly enjoy? And that is everything that isn't about the Bad Batch. And there's enough of it there to keep me going. So like you're watching season 1 and you're like, okay, well, what is, like, I kind of understand the purpose of the Bad Batch. So, but what's up with Omega? Because Omega is also like an effed up clone, and whoa, like, what's going on with that? And the communications between Tarkin and Kamino. And Kamino, like, the cloners desperately clinging to relevance, right? Definitely, like, no, continue to use clones. Please use clones.
Well, yeah, just the whole phasing out of the clone army.
Yeah, but in the Bad Batch does a good job, much like Clone Wars did. The Bad Batch does a good job in those off moments of answering questions that a lot of fans, including myself, had. Is why did they stop using clones? Well, it sort of, the answer to that is, like, I don't think the Emperor cared, right? Like, it wasn't like a big higher up thing. It was basically like, okay, the guy who's sort of in charge of securing the army for the Empire moving forward is Tarkin and Rampit. Is that his name?
I can't remember.
These two Imperial officers, and it's established very early on in Clone Wars that Tarkin's not a fan of clones.
Mm-hmm.
He just doesn't like clones. And so then it makes sense. It was a financial thing that for half the, like, clones are expensive. So for half the cost of a clone, you can conscript a loser with bad accuracy and stick him in the same armor.
Somebody who's choosing rather than is born to.
Yep. And so we don't have to depend on the vitality of these implanted chips and all this stuff. And so we saw the bombing and destruction of the cloning Kamino facility because the Empire didn't want the Republic to be able to, order an army to fight back against the Empire. And so that makes sense. Why do we never hear of clones again? Why do we never see Kamino again? So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that is fun and interesting and is sort of the building of, it's the aftermath of Order 66. And that stuff is the stuff that I'm drawn to. So yeah. Okay. So episode 1 of season 2. I don't know. It's much of the same, right? It's the clones the Bad Batch are dealing with this sort of. She's introduced in season 1. What's her name? Sid.
Yeah,
the
Sid.
One who's giving them all their contracts, and I don't like throughout season 1. You kind of wonder whether or not she's trustable.
Yeah. Well, throughout season 1, it just felt like, it felt like, because it was that whole kind of plot line of always coming back to Sid for a job was always just kind of in terms of the story, was just a means of an ends to keep telling the story.
Yeah. It was just convenient.
It's a way to just keep feeding our protagonists missions to go on.
It feels like a video game.
While we fill in the main story.
Feels like a grindy
while the main
video
story's happening, our main characters need to do something else for each episode. So how do we do that? we introduce Sid, who essentially has them over a stretcher because she knows who they are, and at the drop of a hat, she can rat them out for money to the Empire.
Yeah.
And instead, because they're useful to her, she finds them jobs and keeps them safe.
In this episode, she's like, they're pretty much ready to be done with her. Like they're starting to realize, like, okay, like, what's keeping us here? Let's move on. Let's leave. And she's kind of grasping at straws to try to keep them. Because they're making her money. And so she kind of promises that, okay, this job that I'm going to send you off on this is the mother lode. Like with this, you can buy your freedom. Yeah, it's one last job. You can buy your freedom. You'll be super loaded, like, blah, blah, blah. After that, you won't need me anymore. I won't need you, so on and so forth, which I think is total BS. And I think she's totally just playing them. And it's not going to end super well for them. But the job is going to Count Dooku's home planet, which looks like not only was it his home planet, but maybe also where he took his shore leave. It was kind of it was his Vader's castle on Mustafar. Is essentially
it's not only his home planet. The term, he's called Count Dooku because his family ruled the planet.
Yeah,
he's the heir to the ruling family of that planet,
which was a bad setup for a Jedi in the first place. So who's really surprised that
there's some cool lore around that, but anyway,
who's surprised that he became corrupted.
Yeah,
but he's got these war chests.
Yeah,
which again feels like a video game. I don't know. This whole thing just feels like
it's a nice MacGuffin.
Yeah. There's these war chests and they're loaded with riches, which there's actually turns out to be a shit ton of these war chests. I was thinking there was like 5 or 6 when she first started talking about it.
There's like 5 hundreds. Freighters full.
Yeah. And the freighters were super cool.
Yeah.
Like that was all done.
We've seen those, but we never seen them in the Clone Wars. You see them in
Season
Rebels.
1. Oh, are they in Rebels? Okay.
Yeah, you see them in Rebels.
Okay.
Like I've seen them before this.
Right.
Did we see them? They might have been in Bad Batch 1 too.
I think they were in Bad Batch Season 1, but not as a center point. I think they were just in the background of something. But so those are cool. And as a fun sort of piece of like Star Wars canon. But yeah, they show up to do this job and their window is super, super short to get this job done because they're already offloading them. But that's fine because they don't need all of them. And they don't have the means to transport all of them. They need a small handful and then they'll be set. Obviously everything goes awry. We have clone troopers show up. They're not clone troopers. Some of them are, right? At this point, it's kind of like
they're mostly I think this group is mostly clone troopers. Okay. They're definitely led by a clone trooper.
Yes, they're led by a clone. So that happens. They end up trying to escape on a freighter. That's not gonna work, right? Like the freighter gets damaged and all of a sudden they need an exit strategy. And Omega, who is some sort of genius for reasons,
she's been studying so this is you skipped over this a little bit, which is fine. But one of the cool things about that they kind of dive into right away is Omega is not a useless tag along anymore.
No,
which was one of the problems I had with her in the first season. She always felt like this useless tag along, and it's just like
she's an inconvenience.
Kind of the way I kind of had a dislike for Ahsoka in the beginning of the Clone Wars, except Ahsoka was useful still in the beginning of the Clone Wars. I kind of had a little bit of a dislike for Omega because it's like you're slowing the plot down here, and I know you're important to the story that's being told overall, but it felt like a drag on the story having her around. all the time. Where like almost right out the gate here, she's studying ships. Tech's got her studying ships from the Imperial Navy, right? We got to remember here, right? She may be a lot younger than the rest of Clone Force 99, but she's still a clone. She's not an unmodified clone either. She's not like Jango or Boba Fett. She's a modified clone. So she's got enhanced cognitive abilities, enhanced physical abilities. She just doesn't have the enhanced aging. She just doesn't age as quickly.
Yeah.
Right. So
and she's
smart. She's learning she's studying these ships and she's learning them quick, which we see that, as you're alluding to there at the end, she's quickly like, oh yeah, this is one of these. And this is they have each one of these containers has got, a system set up so they safely fall to the ground if something happens. And, yeah, but not only that, like, she's gotten really good with that bow.
She's really good with that bow.
I don't know what they call it.
The bow is so cool, like a plasma bow or something.
It is really cool. I'm a little disappointed that she's still using it. Like, it's kind of become her signature weapon, I guess.
Like, give her a blaster,
at the same time, pardon?
You're saying, like, hurry up and give her a blaster?
Yeah, like, okay, if she's that accurate with with this bow, why not be like, all right, here's something a little more deadly and a heck of a lot more precise?
I don't know. I think it's just badass.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It definitely is kind of like her signature weapon, which kind of, when it comes to animated TV shows of this kind of genre, that makes sense. Your each character's kind of got their signature weapon, kind of like Power Rangers and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm not too beefed about it, but at the same time I was like, why is she still using this thing?
Yeah.
She's obviously more capable, she's outgrown it, but she's still using it. But that's more my adult brain, and this is still a kid's show.
Yep. Yep.
But so I get it, but it's not really a knock against. It's just a little thought I had.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway.
So yeah. So she says, we can escape in these, like, each cargo container has its like re-entry propulsion jets, so we can get in it and kind of
we don't need an
hover safely to the ground,
and
everything will be fine. We'll be stuck here, but we're gonna live. And they get in and hit the button, and actually a really cool shot. All of the things release, and then they're plummeting towards the ground, and the guy says, "Hey, like when are these repulsion jets going to kick in?" And she's like, "I'm pretty sure they should have by now." And then the screen cuts to black, right? They're plummeting to the earth, and who knows what's going to happen.
End of episode 1.
Yeah. Moving forward in this season, what I'm looking forward to is, like, there's still some Star Wars questions for them to answer. And I hope that in season 2, that sort of fleshing out the Empire and learning about all of this other stuff kind of continues. I think there's plenty of room. I think it'll be a miss. Like, he wasn't in season 1. There's absolutely no reason for Vader not to show up in this show, right? Like, Tarkin having conversations with Vader or whatever. It's the forming of the Empire. Like, it makes sense for him to be there. He doesn't even need to interact with the Bad Batch. That I think that would feel like a stretch, having him interact with them, but just sort of there in the background.
Well, I don't think he ever showed up in the first season, did he?
No, he doesn't. No.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see him in season 2. The other thing I'd really like to see at some point is, okay, so now we have human troopers, but we don't have the stormtrooper helmet. So what is the
transition
reason for
of the
that?
armor?
Yeah, why does that happen? So that's something I'm looking forward to. The one thing I will say about Bad Batch season 1, and even season 7 of Clone Wars, is there's a noticeable difference from season 6 of Clone Wars to season 7, And it carries through into Bad Batch in terms of, it feels weird saying this because it's an animated thing, but in terms of like cinematography, in terms of like complexity of shots, motion of the camera, really making it feel like you're watching something that could be live action, right? Just it feels...
Right. The quality of the animation is gone up noticeably.
Yeah. So that's just something that Disney's doing really well in terms of, they're like, hey, like let's up this.
As it should. It's Disney. They're known for their animation and
exactly
both digital and not.
So I'm curious moving forward in season 2. I'm not jumping for joy. I'm not, can't wait for episode 2, but I am, I'm open. I'm open to episode 2.
Yeah.
And the rest of season 2. What are your thoughts moving forward? Is there anything on your wish list?
I don't think I got much of that on my wish list. I think, I don't have a huge wish list for what I'm expecting from this. I think the big things I'm expecting from this, especially based off just this first episode, is is Clone Force 99, if at all, going to be tied into the rebellion, the growth and the spurring of the rebellion? Because Echo kind of alludes to it a little bit right at the beginning of this episode. I'm interested to see, like, as of before, like, the end of season 1, the Empire thing, and they say this at the beginning of this episode too, the Clone Force 99 is dead as far as the Empire is concerned. They died on Kamino.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see where that kind of storyline goes. How secretive can they stay without being caught? Do they kind of become known to the Empire again? What role is Crosshair going to play in this season? Right. Crosshair is still part of the Empire.
Yeah.
I think that'll be interesting.
And he removed his chip and made a conscious decision to stay an Imperial trooper. Well,
his chip was removed long before the season 1 started, apparently. Yeah. So, yeah, like he's a little bit more where the interesting thing about Clone Force 99 is that while all clones are kind of engineered to follow orders, Clone Force 99 is known for not following orders throughout the entire Clone Wars. Mm-hmm. And Crosshairs apparently, out of all of Clone Force 99, likes following orders a little bit more than everyone else to the point where he joins the Empire instead of sticking with his crew. Yeah. So yeah, I think those are the only real big unanswered questions and kind of curiosities I have moving forward. Yeah. I can't think of anything else that really perks my interest in terms of where this story could go. The characters are kind of somewhat interesting, even though, like you were saying, like they're very like stereotypical characteristics, like Tech. Well, Tech is the smart one. That's why he's called Tech. It's kind of like old school TV shows with like you got with Power Rangers or Ninja Turtles or anything where there's like several people
they all
that are your main protagonists, a small group that's your main protagonist. They usually have very strong archetypes that they follow.
Yeah. Right?
Hunter's the staunch leader and Wrecker is the brute with it's not very smart. And so yeah, like it'd be and this is like, as of this, I've seen the second one already. The third one's out as of this recording. I haven't seen it yet.
Fourth one's out too.
Kind of breaking into the second one a little teeny bit here. I hope they do more of what they do with Tech in the second episode with the other characters. Okay. And I won't allude into that. I'll save that for when we get into episode 2.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was really interesting and I'd love to see more of that. It's not really it's kind of a wish list thing. It's more of a of a hope, because it will be what makes the story is interesting moving forward if they do that. Otherwise, it'll be less interesting, I think.
Well, thank you for listening. And episode 2 and 3 will come. We haven't talked about it in this episode, but Carl is expecting a child any minute now.
Literally.
And so it's going to be influenced by that sort of a little bit. But we will get caught up, right? At some point we'll do a little bit of doubling up so that
it'll get done.
Yeah. And we'll get caught up so that we're releasing episodes kind of like we did with Andor, right? Sort of in sync with them coming out. Got a little bit of catching up to do, but hey, I had 7 seasons of a show to watch. So
yeah,
so
this was on the calendar to this episode was on the calendar to record like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we go to record it and I'm like, so are we doing Bad Batch season 2 today?
I need a little more time.
Brady's like, no, I'm not done Clone Wars yet.
Yeah, I was barreling through. Well, Christmas was in there, and that there was like a week where I didn't watch any, and so that it was rough. But
slowed you down.
Stupid Christmas. Check out our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all listed below. Our Patreon page. Support us and gain access to our exclusive Patreon content for as little as $1 a month. But there's other stuff there at other tiers. If you want to spend a little bit more, that's super appreciated. It's good for you and it's good for us. It helps us run the show and keep it flowing smooth. Also check out our merch page, another great way to support us, but also get some nasty swag. I don't know why I said nasty, but I said it in a way that kind of made it sound like it was a good thing, I guess. So.
Trying to sexualize it?
Nasty. Some nasty swag. People, you're going to be wearing Movie Men merch, people coming up to you and they'll be like, man, you nasty.
The way you said that, it makes it sound like we have Movie Men underwear on there or something.
Not yet. Leave it with me. Leave it with me. Well, I'm just sporting my B Team G-string today.
On the back, on the butt side, it says nasty merch, and on the front, it's got the Movie Men tag logo.
Oh my God, that's gross. Okay, well, I don't know how to end the episode other than just
thank you for listening.
Yeah.
We're sorry.
We're so sorry. Again, the ability to speak does not make you intelligent.